Welcome to Spoonful of Om's Calm Class with me, Gina. And on your inhale, come up onto all fours, untuck the toes, and arch the back up toward the ceiling as you move into cat pose. And then drop the belly down as you reach the chest forward in between the upper arms. And coming into cow. And then arch the back up toward the ceiling, drop the chin in and bring it in toward the chest. Finding a neutral spine and let your hips move from side to side. And coming to neutral. Two options: you can swing the legs to the right side or the left and come to sit back and bring the legs around. Or you can cross the ankles, move the knees a little bit wider, and then roll over your ankles and shins, sending the legs forward. So once you're here and the legs are toward the front of the mat, start to point the toes up toward the ceiling. Press the backs of the thigh bones down and press your hands into the floor beside your hips. Let the shoulders release as you feel this length moving through the spine. Top of the head reaches up. And then on your exhale, come down like half, maybe a quarter of the way toward the floor. Begin to notice where you feel the sensation as you lean the torso down. And then walk your hands a little bit further forward. So maybe your hands come next to where your knees are or your calves. And come just a little bit further down, but lead with the hip bones. So let the hip bones guide your fold. So if they're staying where they are and it's just the waist that's folding, then stay there at that quarter of the way fold. If the hip bones are allowing you to move further down, like the pelvis is shifting and tilting, then start to go a little bit lower. But just notice what the pelvis is doing. And then inhale as you walk your hands back and lift up. Place your right foot down to the floor next to your left knee, and your right arm comes to the inside of the right leg. Walk your hands forward. This time it's more of a rounded shape, and the anchor is your right foot. And so allow yourself to round in toward your left knee as your hands might reach for the left toes. Maybe they grab a hold of the leg somewhere, the foot, the ankle, the calf. And then on your inhale, lengthen here. Start to lift up maybe halfway and let the knee fall out to the side, and exhale as you move down over the left leg again. This time we find a long spine once more. So we're going between those two, lengthening and rounding. Press the back of the left thigh down toward the floor gently. Turn the toes so that they're pointing up toward the ceiling. Maybe pressing through the balls of the feet as the toes draw back. Inhale as you walk your hands back and come up. And take your left hand to your right knee and bring your right hand behind you as you move into a twist. Turn your head to the right as much as you can, and then see if you can drop your chin down toward the shoulder. Bring your attention to your left shoulder then, and see if you can soften the left shoulder away from the ear. And inhale as you come back to center. Bring the hands behind you, press into your hands. Right knee is still out to the side, lift through the chest. As you press down into your hands, chin can lift up. And then coming back to center, and we'll send the right leg forward, starting here in Dandasana. Hands can be beside the hips, or they can kickstand behind you, the fingertips tenting the floor. And then from here, try to think about lifting the chest up and forward as the hip bones drop down toward the upper thighs. Maybe come down just a quarter of the way toward the legs. Press the backs of the thigh bones downward to the floor. Pull the kneecaps in toward your quads. Toes are pointing up toward the ceiling. Maybe your hands walk forward a little bit. And then from here, see if you can move a little bit lower, but leading with the pelvis tilting. So if it's tilting more, then maybe come lower toward the legs. If it's kind of staying where it is, but the back is rounding, then lift up to where you were and hold there. Option to find a little bend to your knees, and that can help release a little bit in the legs, and maybe you can start to move the belly toward the thighs. And then inhale as you walk your hands back. Bend your left knee and let your left foot come to the floor. A little bit of space between your left foot and your right knee. And the arm comes to the inside of the knee. Now we're rounding, so let the hands move forward toward your foot, ankle, or calf. Let your head drop down, but allow the shoulders to still stay away from the ears. They're drawing downward. And let your forehead move toward your knee. And if that left sitting bone is lifted off the floor, that's okay as you move forward into the fold. Anchoring down into your left foot. If you feel wobbly, the right arm can reach out to the right side to stabilize. And inhale as you lift back up. Let your left knee move out to the left side and fold back down. This time think long spine like we were in Dandasana. Think that the hip bones and pelvis are tilting forward and down. Maybe a little bend in your right leg as you fold toward the thigh. And inhale as you walk your hands back and come up. Take your right hand to your left knee. Bring your left arm behind you as you move into a twist. And keep turning the head to the left so you're really looking over the left shoulder, stretching through the right side of the neck, and maybe dropping the chin down toward the shoulder. And inhale as you come back to center. Bring the hands behind you, fingertips facing toward your hips, press into your palms. Puff the chest forward, roll the shoulders back. Option to lift the gaze up a little bit or keep the neck neutral. And then press into the fingertips as you bring the right foot in to meet the left. You can have a little bit of space between the feet and your hips. Start to circle your torso around. And the next time you're forward toward your feet, hold there as you fold and taking a breath or two here. The outer knees are moving down toward the floor. Maybe your elbows are squeezing in toward the side of the body. And inhale as you lift up, and we'll circle around now going the other direction. And the next time you're forward and folding toward your feet, stay there and take a couple breaths. And inhale as you come back to center. So let's take our hands behind us, lean back a little bit. So instead of straight up over the hips, you're more like here, like you're reclining. And then lift your right foot up and extend the right foot over to the left side. And then bring the knee in, move the knee out to the side and lower the foot down. Make sure the right foot's flexed as you're moving into these. Lifting the left foot up, press the heel forward to diagonal to the right side, and then bend the knee, move the knee out and lower down. And lift the right, press the right heel toward the opposite side, and bend and lower. Lift the left, press it forward, bend, and lower. Now we'll take the arms forward and make fists with the arms. Lift the left leg, turn the body, send the leg forward, bend it in and lower. Lift the left leg, send it to the right, turn the body, bend the knee and lower. One more on each side. Extend the right leg out to the left, bend and lower. Lift the left foot, extend, bend, and lower. Take your hands forward, and this time come into a rounded shape. So this is variation B. Letting your forehead come toward your toes, but have a rounding in the upper back and lower back. Let the shoulders release away from the ears as you come into Baddha Konasana. And inhale as you walk your hands back and come up. And we'll swing the legs around behind us, coming back up onto all fours. And we'll move the hips forward, rolling down onto the belly. Hip, stomach, chest, chin as you come down. And on your inhale, reach the arms forward as you come up into seal. Lift a little bit higher so the lower ribs lift off the mat, and turn your head to the right side. The legs are wide, so at least hip distance apart. And turn your head back to center and then over to the left side. And turning your head back to center, lower down. Let your head come to the floor as you turn your head to the right. Hands are underneath the forehead if that's comfortable. And then let your hips shimmy a little bit from right to left, kind of shaking it out. And lift the head and turn it to the left side. Turning your head back to center, tuck the toes. Hands come next to your chest as you lift up and sit back into child's pose. Hands can cross underneath the forehead. And then when you're ready to, begin to extend your legs out long toward the front corners of your mat, preparing for our final resting pose of Shavasana. Arms released by your sides, palms can face up or in toward the body, and start to soften through the muscles as you relax into the pose. If you need any kind of props, blankets, pillows, blocks, anything, using those to allow your body to become more comfortable and supported in your Shavasana. And then once you're there, begin to soften through the toes and the muscles of the feet, moving that softening up the body into the legs and the hips, the lower back, the upper back, the abdomen, the chest, the shoulders, down into the upper arms, the lower arms, and into the fingertips. And soften and relax through the throat and the neck. And bringing that sensation of softening up into the muscles of the face, around the eyes, the lips, the jaw, and the mouth. And then giving yourself permission to move just a tiny bit deeper into your Shavasana this morning. On your inhale, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotating your wrists and your ankles. And reaching your arms overhead, coming into a full body stretch. And on your exhale, draw the lower back toward the ground as you bring the knees in toward the chest, wrapping your arms around the shins. Then when you're ready to, rolling onto either side, resting there a moment. And taking your top arm, pressing yourself up to sit for Sukhasana, crossing the ankles or shins. And letting your hands come onto your knees or rest in your lap. And bowing your head to yourself, and take a moment here to thank yourself for coming onto your mat to practice. And we'll end with the sound of Om, taking a deep inhale. Om. And thank you so much for joining class this morning.